Okay, boss 1 it's actually pretty straightforward. At the start of an action, the boss gives kind of effect to all allies mobs currently on the map. But here is the important part, this doesn't include the new mobs that respawn during that same turn. So ideally, destroy those mobs as soon as they appear. If you allow more than 2 to survive, you are going to have a problem once the boss drops below 50% HP. At that point, it gains detonation stacks based on how many kindle buffed allies are still on the map. Too many stacks can make the boss extremely dangerous and, more importantly, goodbye bounty achievement. This is why mobile pilots like Asuka or any DPS that can clear multiple mobs in one turn are really useful here. The other thing to watch is the flamethrower. The boss uses it first to apply malfunction, which can reduce your accuracy all the way down to 0. So if possible, bait this attack with one of your support pilots. But be careful, because pilots with malfunction also take 50% increased damage from the railgun. And yeah, that can hurt. So the strategy is simple. Clear the respawning mobs, never let more than 2 survive in total once the boss drops below 50% HP, and bait malfunction away from your important DPS pilots.
We will use you as a sample for experimentation. This feeling is not pleasant at all.
Rosa, I'm here. Now's the time! No worries, I've got your back. Your doctor has arrived. Leave the healing to me. Your doctor has arrived.
Eyes peeled, looking for the mark. Who's calling me a nerd? Got eyes on the target.
Boss 2 starts in Hunting mode, where it can apply Prey Mark. This increases the damage your pilot takes while also reducing their repair effect. The boss also restores 5% max HP each turn. And here it's the annoying part. It can use balance effect between its parts. So if one arm is almost destroyed, while the other still has plenty of HP, the boss can redistribute that HP between them. Yeah, we get to damage that arm again. Once the boss drops below 50% HP, it enters Berserk mode. And this is where things get dangerous. Its attacks become stronger EX skills, and the boss can also re-attack once per turn. The shotgun is probably the scariest one. It increases damage taken and completely disables movement. The railgun applies weapon inhibition, limiting you to normal attacks, and deals bonus damage against pilots with Prey Mark. And running away isn't really an option either. The boss gets +3 mobility, and it's immune to effects from pilots like Camellia and future Zoe. But here is the good news. It's not immune to effects that completely disable movement. That's why Gumushai or Fia with her signature weapon are so useful here. Lock the boss in place, control the fight and slowly finish it off. Simple. And don't forget the bounty achievement. Destroy at least one arm once during the fight.
Looking to make a deal. Care to negotiate?
How about a photo?
Is that an invitation?
Hey, make sure you're in the frame. Come now.
Dance with me.
Time to start recording. Come now.
Dance with me.
This is my signature move. Violence cannot solve everything. You wouldn't want to take this! Use this power properly.
Okay, boss 3 has one mechanic you really need to understand. Acid. The boss also gains +1 range, which means its heavy machine gun can retaliate from up to 4 tiles away. But honestly, the range isn't what makes this fight dangerous. Acid is. The boss apply acid every turn, and if you let those stacks get out of the control, this fight can become painful very quickly. Acid reduces your repair effect, reduces your damage deal, and deals heavy fixed damage at the end of the turn. So yeah, we definitely don't want too many stacks. Normally, you can remove acid by destroying enemies, but here is the problem. For the bounty achievement, we can only destroy 4 enemies during this fight. So those enemies are basically your limited supply of acid cleanses. Don't waste them when you don't need to. And positioning matters too, because if a pilot with acid finishes their action within 2 tiles of another pilot, they can spread the debuff to them. One acid problem can very quickly become everyone's problem. The boss rocket launcher makes things even worse. If it hits someone who already has acid, it will immediately trigger the acid effect. And finally, watch for the boss preparing its large AoE attack. It takes 1 turn to prepare, but when it lands, it applies 3 acid stacks at once. So the strategy here is actually pretty simple. Do not spread acid between your pilots, use those for enemies carefully to remove stacks, and try to burst down the boss as quickly as possible. Good luck!
Reflect on your actions. Reflect on your actions.
Don't worry, I'm always gentle. They're gonna regret crossing us. Which formula should I test next? Don't struggle. Still, like a good boy. You can count on me.
Strategic gear deployed. All set. Strategic gear deployed. Flaw exposed. All set. Strategic gear deployed. Target neutralized. Strategic gear deployed. All set.
Okay, boss 4 looks a little scary at first, but once you understand the two phases, it's really not that bad. The boss starts in flying mode with 10 stacks of Matter Matrix. Each stack reduces final damage taken by 8%, so at the beginning you are basically hitting a flying brick wall. Every attack removes one stack, but here is the important part. If a single instance of damage exceeds 3% of the boss max HP, it removes 3 additional stacks. And this is where the Goat Shinji can basically cheat the mechanic. His skills can ignore damage reduction, so if you save him for this fight, he can remove those stacks very quickly. But don't worry if you didn't. Flying mode isn't particularly dangerous because the boss doesn't have access to all of its weapons yet. Once you completely empty its HP, welcome to Leviathan mode. And now the actual fight starts. The boss can attack twice per turn, and it can gain up to 75% damage reduction. Thankfully, every part you destroy removes 25% of that reduction. So yeah, destroy the parts. Now we have the second annoying mechanic, Arashi Barrier. The heavy machine gun generates these stacks when attacking and generates 2 stacks if you cannot retaliate, and the legs also give the heavy machine gun +2 range, so destroying them makes things much easier. The railgun can generate Ashi Barrier stacks as well. These stacks can give the boss up to 40% final damage taken reduction. If the boss reaches 4 stacks, it next AoE triggers Overload. Consume the stacks and give the boss 50% increased damage together with additional effects. So if you see 4 stacks, something unpleasant is coming. And finally, both attacks and retaliation can apply EMP, reducing your weapon range and dodge rate. The rocket launcher can apply EMP as well, so keep that in mind when positioning. So the game plan is pretty simple. Break Mother Matrix, enter Leviathan mode, destroy the parts, keep the eye on Arashi Barrier. Good luck!
Give the command.
It will take effect immediately.
Really think this through?
I'm still here.
Covering fire, coming up!
I'm still here.
Covering fire, coming up!
Any new angles? XR, it's showtime. No oversights here.
Clear the way, trash!
You've done well enough.
Covering fire, coming up! Really think this through? Kick its ass!
You've done well enough.
Really think this through?
Faster hands, faster feet!
Let's begin.
Support cover! Please, take care of yourself. It will take effect immediately.
Kick its ass!
You've done well enough. You've done well enough.
Watch out!
No oversights here. Let's begin. XR, it's showtime. Nothing ever changes.
Roadkill coming through! Is that the best you can do? Take your last breath.
It will take effect immediately.
Take your last breath. Really think this through?
Time to wake up. XR, it's showtime. Nothing ever changes. XR, it's showtime.